Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in Mendham, mostly. Google is evil. Just remember that. It's just not harmless, but whatever. People can't understand any arguments. Marketing company sells commercials, has all kinds of incentive to promote content that has their commercials on it. I mean, for that conflict of interest alone, you should say, oh yeah, some other company has to do the searching thing. Yeah, you can't let the marketing company control how you see the internet. Just the very fact that everybody knows now, right? That they show everybody a different internet. Like the internet you get to see is different than the internet I get to see. That should already bother you. More than enough. I shouldn't even have to say any more. But no. Yeah. No, the sheep will just accept. Alright, well anyway. So I did make 3 videos this week. So I didn't make one today. So this one might be a long one because part of me says I do want to make another video. Just about this Guy McPherson guy. Alright, well anyway, yes. A guy called Guy McPherson. I know I had some sort of, he was somehow relevant in the past. He's a extreme environmentalist thing or something. I mean, he actually thinks that the degrade in the environment, whatever you want to call it, the change, is going to be so extreme and so radical and so dramatic that somehow it's going to make human beings extinct. And he seems okay with that. I don't know. I think the whole idea is to get people to panic and then they'll do something about it because he seems to want them to do something about it, which is weird. But the other half he's saying is basically we've already committed to it. All right, there's no undoing it, and so we'll have to live with the damage for 100 years at least. So yeah, that might be true. But do people really think humans are going to go extinct? They really think so? Anyway, I don't think so. I mean, not that way. It's pretty hard to imagine exactly how horrible the environment could get where you could actually kill all the people. Come on. I mean, that's millions of volcanoes kind of bad, But anyway. So it just seems totally unrealistic. Anyway, so this guy's been ragging on me of late, and effilism. And the whole thing is just bizarre. I mean, the more you find out about these people, and the more you hear you speak, and they're just so boring, and so they say this, they're complete contradictions. One minute they say suicide, yes, everybody has a right to suicide. Well, except people under 40. So if you're under 40, you don't have a right to decide to kill yourself. It's just too silly. And it's all this, it's just so sappy and, well, frankly, girly. All right, these are like 3 girls talking, okay, and it's all, I'm sorry, it's all, polluted by a bunch of girly irrationality. And I don't mean that that's genetic. I just mean that culturally, women are maturated into this, you can fix it by cooking something. Oh, if I clean the window, that'll fix something. Somebody, I mean, they have this, it's just it's not very realistic, okay? It's this, hopophiles, and that's all it is, and wish, and want, but it's not practical. Alright, like this giant collar. Anyway, so I think I'll play some of this crap. It's just so bizarre, because I did notice in the chat, I wasted a tiny bit of time actually looking at the chat. And, some guy called Ethel Zach gave them $20. And you're just like, isn't he getting it that, there's no point in having Ethel in his name if you're going to give money to people who are, in a grotesque way, saying somehow it's a bad philosophy. Now, even though if other people have the philosophy, the exact same philosophy, that is, like Benatar said right in the beginning of his books, everything I'm saying applies to animals as well. You know, they're stuck in the same asymmetry. They're in the same need to be procreatively controlled. You know, they have exactly the same dilemma as we have, in the sense of, you know, there's no real goods. There's just preventing bads. And then some other woman they were talking about who also has the same, you know, vegan kind of attitude. Animals are just as in need of caregiving as humans are. And, you know, so, but as long as they're not called ethilists, you know, as long as they don't give that a name or a title, that kind of antinatalism, they're okay. It's just about me, apparently. So apparently I've committed crimes that are just so egregious, you know, that they just, yeah, it's just too silly. So maybe I'll just play the end of this where they're just making no sense at all, talking about, you know, a pretty important subject, life and death, suicide, and birth, right? So, you know, there's a segment in here where this woman is supposed to be some sort of, she's a professor in some kind of college. You know, she teaches this kind of crap, and her, you know, so a couple of students came to her with the dilemma that, you know, they are thinking of having children, but the world is such a shithole, you know, they just don't think it's ethical. And her brilliant advice was, don't worry, be happy. So if you really want to have kids, just go ahead and have them, because they're not going to be victims or anything. The experiment can't possibly go wrong. Of course, if they're killed, so what? That's part of the fun of having kids. You know, I mean, that's the whole fun. What fun would it be to go to Las Vegas if you just won all the time? Losing is part of the fun. I mean, it's just, you know, you're just like, no. Instead, she couldn't have just said something like, well, it's all psychobabble in your head, so yeah, go play hopscotch or something. There's got to be something you know how to do that's more fun than cleaning diapers and, you know, worrying about your kids going out and getting molested or something. There's got to be something you enjoy more. Go do that. No. The psychologist says, go ahead, be an asshole. Be reckless. Be fucking silly. Yes, you have a rational apprehension about the jeopardy your child might be exposed to. Fuck that rational, you know, apprehension. Go with your I want. I mean, I guess you'd give the same advice to a rapist. You know, I have these impulses and I'm really unsatisfied with my, you know, sex life because, you know, I need some violence. I'm pissed off at, you know, women in general, and I really need a little bit of gratification. I mean, I need to beat the shit out of you bitches. I'm sure her advice would be, go for it. I mean, yes, you're important. You know, your needs need to be satisfied. Fuck those bitches. Here's my daughter's address. I mean, it's just, anyway, it's just too fucking silly. All right. I don't know if I can bother hitting the play button because there's probably ads, so I'll spare you. Alright, I'm going to speed it up a little bit, so hopefully that'll be okay. Because they really are boring and slow.
Are really bad parenting skills. are very hands-off. Don't let them, you know, don't introduce them to religion, and give them lots of science and art, and let them, you know, go.
La 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 la. So she's talking about when she had kids, I guess, you know, with her, whatever, her ex-husband. Yeah. You know, this, and said they're just so, oh, my kids are marvelous and they're so full of fun and they're so blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, sure, yeah, that's how it always turns out. That's everybody's story. You know, nobody has any, you know, kids that are drug addicts or steal their money or any of that kind of crap. No, it all works out just fine. Yeah, just let your kid stick pins into the electrical sockets because he needs to, he wants to. It's fun, he's learning. Let him go ahead and get drunk and paralyzed. It's part of the learning process. It's all part of the fun. Oh, God. It's just like, there's really no, these are supposed to be the intelligent people.
be wild kids, and they're amazing people. They're incredible.
Oh, they're amazing. Well, my kids are amazing too. Well, my kids are amazing too. Isn't it? We're just all so amazing. I've seen people walking on the street. Okay, this amazing stuff doesn't happen fucking very often. I don't see too many fucking amazing people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they don't suffer from stress and issues and things. They do.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah. I couldn't give a shit. I'm a parent. Giving a shit is, I let go of that a long time ago. Fuck the mess I've made. Who cares? Everybody makes a mess. It's part of the fun.
They have, moments of beauty and joy that.
Oh, la, 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 la. So it makes it all okay. A few moments of beauty and joy. It's just, the amazing touchdown pass. The 93-yard, whatever, only happens once in history touchdown pass or something. And, that makes all the paralyzed people worth it. Come on. It's beautiful. Fuck.
Keeps them going.
Yeah.
Keeps them going.
Yeah.
It's very
I think we should
important.
all have a.
All right, so none of these people are her big issue in her life was she had chickens in her backyards, and I guess the neighbors complained, and she had to get rid of her chickens. I mean, that's how much they get it, right? Not at all. So I was thinking, instead of Evilist, because they also do this Buddhist crap. Okay, life is suffering. She actually says that in the beginning of the video somewhere. I should try to find that. Life is suffering. Well, that doesn't. But it's it's only a word. Yeah, I mean, just too stupid. They don't go anywhere. So it's a typical Buddhist bullshit. Life sucks, but fuck, let's not do anything about it. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. What was my point? Oh yeah, so it's all about these labels. So if people can't handle, I was just thinking of the Jains. Jains have a stupid name, right? What the fuck does Jain mean? They're the Buddhists that go way too far and decide not to step on microbes and stuff. I mean, it's just too silly. There's no practical way to Jain. But anyway, what they should be is egg crushers, right? I mean, that's what they really should be going out, is looking under rocks and just finding wherever they can find some eggs and smash the eggs, right? Isn't that should be the philosophy? So it should be the egg smashers. But these people never even touch the subject. They never even come close to even glancing at the subject. And you're, of people controlling having kids, stopping having kids. The world's supposed to, they believe there's a real good probability that in just a few years the life on Earth is going to become very unbearable for human beings. It's going to be very, very, very unpleasant and horrible. And they're not even suggesting to people, please don't have kids because you're just going to torture the poor little fucker. They can't even figure that out.
A pill we can take that's a huge download of nonviolent communication techniques and just put it in the water supply.
Some people would say that's what fluoride did. Made everyone very passive.
Yeah.
Some people. Who?
So, let's see. I'm going to look at some of these comments here. Just don't look up. Matt Hunter, very good.
They do. They get on suicide here eventually. But, I mean, they're just all irrational.
It was a really good film. Guy really enjoyed watching Finch.
Oh, Finch. You were telling me about that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Finch.
I think it was better than Don't Look Up. Because it more realistically and more subtly displayed all kinds of likely phenomena.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to go find Finch. Finch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can't, well, anyway, they have their own produced video documentary, and it's the worst documentary I think I've ever seen that was called a documentary, and she thinks she's a documentarian. It's just so, she's pretty funny.
Saw masking nuclear power plants melting down,
Oh,
stripping
that
the
was all there?
stratospheric ozone. Yeah, without ever mentioning it. But if you know about it, you can see it.
Oh, oh, good. They just put it in there
All right, sorry, this is the really boring part.
sort of subliminally, or
I'm guessing 90% of the people watching had no idea what was going on.
right?
And it wasn't all that important.
So he's talking about environmental crap, okay? This aerosol masking, so blah blah blah. It's a little technical issue. We stop the Freon from going into the atmosphere because it creates a hole in the ozone, which lets in too much ultraviolet light. But the good news is it also mitigates against some of the other greenhouse effects, so it actually does cool the planet. But so the fact is, part of our environmentally fixing is breaking, because we're getting rid of an effect that was slowing down the other negative effect. It's an inverse negative kind of thing. But really, as a practical matter, both problems would be more of a problem, probably.
Obviously.
Can I ask you maybe, how do you define the idea of privilege?
All right, well, that's boring. Let's get to the suicide part. All right, we'll go a little bit ahead and hope.
Since Ronald Reagan, zap. And so
at least they can figure out that, yes, Reagan was the beginning of the end. Okay, it was like you had the 60s, then you had disco, and then you had Ronald Reagan. So disco was the warning that, oh shit, everything's falling apart. And then there was Ronald Reagan. And yes, that was the end of rationality on planet Earth.
People who can mill around with.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. There was probably some other. The quantum mechanics got really, really interested in entanglement. That's when they really, really got interested. And quantum became a word too.
Whoever and wherever they want, and not have to worry about the consequences of their actions, unless they're very egregious.
So she's petting her little, whatever it is, designer dog.
I don't know, it's just a little. I could probably write a dissertation about it if you want, but I don't know. When I retire, I'm going to finish my PhD. I'm going to write my dissertation.
Good luck putting that committee. Good luck putting that committee together.
Oh God, I don't know how people listen to this shit. Could you get to the subject, please?
Be on that committee?
I was just going to say, good luck putting that committee together.
Oh, I could find them.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely serve.
Thanks. Okay.
As one of the more privileged people in all of history. Heterosexual Caucasian man.
Man, yeah.
That's the trifecta of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Right, trifecta.
Yep.
And I chose.
Hey, well, he says he's a man, but I've been fooled before. So come on. You can glue mustaches on. It's not...
Our skin. I don't know. It's all of it.
Have you had scabies?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Jesus. I really think it's in here somewhere. They talked about something other than scabies.
Yeah, I agree. Suffering.
Oh, well, yeah, we had a tough life. Oh, suffering sucks. Here she goes.
Is not okay.
No,
Suffering's
not
Even
okay.
though it's part of life, but
there's, that you say that word again, suffering is not okay. There's this group of people who think that if you're suffering, you should just end it no matter what.
Okay, so this is how they're paraphrasing the whole Ephesus thing, is that you should kill yourself. That there are some people somewhere, okay, I haven't seen any of these videos. I haven't seen this philosophy, the kill yourself philosophy. Okay, so where is it? Because I don't see it anywhere. So they create this complete straw man argument, that the argument in defense of don't create a mess and then there's no mess to clean up, that somehow that argument is kill yourself. I mean, where is that? Where exactly is that argument being made? The kill yourself argument. Who's making it?
Point. And
well, that's utterly ridiculous.
yeah, that makes no
That's
sense.
a cop out. That's a cowardly way to go.
So she just called anybody who commits suicide a coward, and so now she's, oh fuck, I can't do that. But that's how they really think. Okay, they don't have. They think they are privileged. They think they're immune. Okay, all of the disasters that they're just figuring, well, that's somebody else's problem, and I'll just talk about their little problems, like la 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 la. Oh, I have such empathy for your little problem, and it's all fake. They clearly are unempathetic, selfish, ego-fixated shit brains.
Well, it depends. Is it are you at the end of your life and you're suffering?
Right. So who decides when it's the end of your I'm having fun here? You know, and what accountability are you taking for every time you prevent somebody from committing suicide and their life doesn't get better and they are just tortured till they finally eventually accomplish the task that you prevented them from accomplishing sooner rather than later? And where do you have any evidence that even the people who do survive, they survive in doing some kind of productive thing, like they actually cure cancer, or they actually do something, they save some old lady from getting hit by the bus or something? Where's your evidence? They're usually just people who meagerly drone through their life on some medication, you know, and yeah, okay, they manage to stay on the sidewalk, but that's all they do. They don't do much better than, you know, maintaining mediocre Borg life.
I would kill myself.
That would not be
Like,
a cop.
like I have 2 weeks to live, and
Yeah.
no, give me morphine.
Right. My best friend.
So you decide for other people. That's the whole thing, right? They don't get to decide what. They only have 2 weeks to live. Well, what if I only have 6 months to live? Or what if I have a year and a half, but it's going to be really, really bad because the cancer's slowly going to grow and then it's going to pop my eyes out and do all kinds of hideous, horrible things? Why should I survive this? Why should I survive the process of dying, any part of it? And again, you decide for other people. You obnoxious pukes. You arrogant pukes. And then you sit there and lie about what other people are advocating. They say, go smash an egg. And you say, that means, oh, go shoot a child. No, that's not the same thing.
And from 4th grade, her father got prostate cancer. And he said he was, you know, he joined the Hemlock Society.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a very difficult decision for his family to accept.
Yeah. Oh my God.
My best friend accepted it. Just
yeah. So I'm just saying. So they all say here, fuck family. Okay, they all say it. Okay, because they all have problems with their own family, and yet they'll talk about, well, it's such a difficult thing because all this family bullshit. I mean, if there's some person telling you live for me, I mean, you shouldn't be friends with them anyway. I mean, if somebody is obligating you to exist as their slave, like, I need you to live. It's like, but they do that to their pets. Like, this woman's probably really attached to her little dog, and when it's time to go, she's not going to let go. She's going to force the dog to go to the doctor and get surgery and do this and take pills and all this other bullshit. All these people get to decide for something else what pain they're going to impose on it to serve their needs. That's not a nice thing to do. And yeah, we're all guilty of being selfish, and the argument should simply be, well, let's just recognize it when we can see it. When we find where we're exploiting somebody and taking advantage and using them, that we should never find that to be defendable, and just do our best to discourage it. But instead, they embrace it and celebrate hypocrisy.
it's fine, but her brother didn't take it very well. And it's because it's complicated. Losing people that you love is not easy.
Yeah.
But
Because
if you
they
allow
suffer.
people, right.
So you love them, but you wish to torture them. I mean, like I said, who wants to be loved by somebody who wants to watch you suffer? I mean, I don't want to be loved by anybody who wants to watch me suffer. That's not a person I want loving me.
Yeah, you have to let people go on their terms.
Except if they're under 40.
Not children. Not children.
Not children, not children. I control the children. I have a pencil. They'll do what I say. That's another hypocrisy. The guy McPherson says somewhere in one of these stupid things, there's a clip where he's talking about how people need, to fix the environment, you got to make people do this. You got to punish them somewhere. You got to, discipline them, blah, blah, blah. And he applies that to kids. Like, yeah, you need to hit your kids. Yeah. They're just such fucking hypocrites.
No,
Not youngsters.
no, no.
Not youngsters. They're not allowed to be in pain and say, I don't want to do this fucking bullshit. It wasn't my idea. I didn't decide to poof into existence. And I really don't like these terms. I really don't want to play your stupid game. You see point in the stupid game, okay? You like wearing your silly, whatever the fuck that is, sweater. Okay, you like being a pretentious douche. Okay, you like doing all this bullshit. Well, maybe somebody doesn't find it appealing, and you're just saying too fucking bad. Eat what I eat. Enjoy what I enjoy. Oh, fuck you. And you're a liberal? Yeah, bullshit. You're a fascist. An elitist, fascist, douchebag, delusional bitch.
No.
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 We are here. We are always here.
We are always here to listen to your complaints and completely ignore them and be preposterously really unsympathetic. We just don't care that you have problems because your problems aren't my problems. My problems are real. Your problems are just a delusion.
To listen and to be there for you.
Oh, yeah, to be there for you. Call 811 or whatever the fucking hotline is. And you'll all be 988. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call and get swatted. Yeah, out of your freedom. Oh, you're just like too silly.
If anyone has any kind of issues going on, and you're thinking of checking out, and you're not over 40.
You got a pimple right on the end of your nose. You have to kill yourself. Okay, granted. Not a very good reason. But frankly, if somebody can be persuaded out of existing, okay, because of some stupid reason, there's really isn't any good reason for them to stick around. Come on. If the argument is so poorly constructed in their head why they're alive, and that they can't come up with something to defeat, I have a toe fungus, it's time to go. Yes, if that persuades them, then they really don't have a good reason to be here. You're not losing it much, okay? Frankly, the human race isn't losing a vital cog in the function of civilization.
Yeah. Turn on.
Yeah.
To talk.
That's another thing. It's all this Timothy Leary stuff. So they're Buddhists, they're mushroomers, they're Timothy Leary psychedelics. I mean, it's all this. It's just poofter.
Definitely, yeah. And it's it doesn't hurt to wait.
It doesn't hurt to wait. So you're in pain, but it doesn't hurt to just sit around and be in pain some more. Oh, it's just amazing. Hurting doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt to wait. Yeah, you can be in a bad place, but I can tell you from my own experience.
Oh, yes. So her own experience is she was suicidal and then she had kids. Or she had kids and then she was suicidal. But whatever, it doesn't matter. She's been depressed her whole life. I've had depression since I was 8 years old. They say these stories and then they have kids and you're saying just how irrational is that? You have a hard time finding meaning and purpose in your life, and yet you're going to force somebody else to sit in the same, a worse world, frankly, a lesser world you're going to put them in, and say, well, I couldn't find meaning in the game that had a few decent rules. Now the game is complete idiocracy, and go ahead, find your way. I mean, it's just amazing that how little logic is based in any of these people's thoughts. They just don't have any logically connected ideas. They just have memes. And that's all this guy does. He just quotes other people's babbles. The Tao of Kim Calm or something. All this fucking bullshit. Some recited poetry that doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
If I had waited, then I would have been in a better place, and I would have.
If I had waited, I would have been in a better place. So she's talking like she had killed herself. So No, you didn't kill yourself, okay? Yes, you stood in the bright sunlight for more than an hour, and that could have killed you. I mean, I don't know exactly what her attempted suicide was. Was it like she took 4 aspirins? Yeah, I almost overdosed.
Made some better decisions for myself and my family.
Better decisions for myself and my family. Who the hell knows what she's even talking about? So was the suicide after you had kids? That would be even more, well, they're both bad, right? I mean, I've known people like this, right? I mean, especially, well, it's usually women because they have babies, right? And it's just so, they have a horrible time trying to find purpose in their life, and then they go out and have a kid. I mean, it just can't make any sense. I mean, it's not sensible, let's just say. It's just so overtly irrational. And they defend this.
So it's really important for people to know that you can get through, a difficult emotional situation.
Yeah,
or not. Nobody's taking the statistics, so yeah, if you get run over, I mean, if it all goes really, really bad, no one's going to warn you.
Human beings are extremely.
I mean, probably what's the rate, right? At least like half of the suicides attempted again. So none of this crap really does work. In the sense that there's a huge number of people who you should have just let them go. All you did was prolong the torture. And it's a fact. And why? Because of your own irrational, emotional, bullshitty notion that somehow people do need to exist. That somehow the absent Martians are saying, look at what we're missing out on. No, there's nobody going to be left behind going, oh, look what I'm missing out on. That's just a pile of shit.
Viable. That's not the right word. I think of Frankel's Search for Meaning.
Oh, geez. So he did a whole bunch of that crap, and So well, you don't even want to say it, but these people who think they are somehow entitled to some sort of philosophical integrity because they had some life experience. And all kinds of people have these life experiences. All kinds of people have had traumatic and horrible things happen to them. So it'd be stupid to say like, that guy that fell off his horse and broke his neck, right? I mean, his whole life just this ruin, and kind of whatever it was, 8 or 10 years he lived, just probably a really difficult, Is that the same as being in a concentration camp? I mean, if you have to choose one of these things, surviving the concentration camp or being paralyzed, I mean, oh, come on. So, yeah, lots of people have a right to say something, but, it's just kind of sucks that somehow there are certain people whose suffering is somehow sacred suffering.
And I give that to a lot of people.
That's a good one.
Because, man, if he could live through that, the horrors of Nazi Germany and being in a concentration camp and losing everybody, and he could survive that, then
he's a lunatic, right? I mean, by my standards, okay? If you can survive it with anything else but advice to the human race saying, fuck it. I mean, what are you preserving here? Look what people were capable of doing to other people. I mean, when are you going to figure out that people aren't great things? A lot of them are suck, okay? They have shit for brain, and they're not worth making.
Losing everything. He was giving breadcrumbs to his fellow inmates.
Right. What's the difference? Starving? I mean, I'm just saying as an economic equation, it doesn't matter whether you give them away or you eat them, right? What's the difference? So does that mean, the inmates were better off alive than him? Is that the argument? And what exactly the argument? Why did he have the breadcrumbs and the other inmates didn't have any breadcrumbs? Why were they in worse shape than he was? I mean, you could ask lots of questions, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just poetry. It's just some sort of little mushy, let's create these mushy images. And I could just keep talking about little kids being paralyzed by football. I wonder if these parents ever considered that, well, maybe we shouldn't be subjecting kids to all this risk. That's stupid.
And that was the kindest thing he could do, was provide for the survival of another person for a few more minutes.
Blah, 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 blah.
Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't read it, I would strongly recommend it.
Yeah, Man's Search for Meaning.
Victor
Wait, did I
Frankl.
say that?
Yeah, right. Just more silver lining crap from the tripey liberals. That's all. It's all working out. Don't worry. Be happy.
Victor Frankl. That's a great book. I had my daughter read that last year. She loved it. It's a little bit.
Daughter's what, 45? I don't know.
Perspective.
No, I know. This is the one who has, she has like a son who's 45, and then she had a kid when she was probably, 50.
Ethel Zach donated $20 and said, "Stop having kids."
There you go. Ethel Zach donated $20 and said, "Stop having kids." Now I'll play the other video. This guy is ragging kind of hard on this philosophy, Ethilism. He's saying it's a suicide cult or something. He's, slandering the fuck out of it. They're trivial, silly people. So why the fuck is Ethel Zach giving $20 to these assholes? And then they say the words, Ethel Zach, okay, so they don't even acknowledge, and he says, "Stop having kids." And so let's play it.
I'm having kids. I'll give you $20.
I agree.
All right. I say time to wrap. Shall we wrap?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed.
Okay, so they didn't really touch on it, did they? Damn. So they had nothing to say, right? Stop having kids? Ha 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 ha. Like I said earlier, she stated that, her advice is to people, if you want them, have them. What's it have to do with me?
I've really enjoyed being with you both and with everyone here virtually. And if there's ever anything I can do for anyone, you can get my contact information from Guy and Paul.
What are you going to do? Give me scarf advice.
And thank you once again. I think this was a super important conversation.
Yes, there was superly vacuous of anything meaningful or relevant.
Guessing with an online search engine, we can find Mimi Riley at Butte College without much difficulty.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Thank you, and thank you, Mimi, so much.
No, you really can't find a damn thing. So they do their little prayer symbols to each other. Some scientists. Oh, fuck.
It was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
So
Thank you,
great. I'm going to end the live stream, but don't go away.
Okay.
Thanks,
We have some private chat. Anyway, so it was just so bad. Let me just see if I can just randomly hit the suicide part. It was somewhere here in the beginning. Alright, come on, YouTube. Fuck. Alright, I'll pause. Alright, this looks like it might be something. Okay, so he's talking about how he's being hacked and his blog is under constant attack, and I don't know what the fuck is he talking about. Yeah.
And basically, I'm not judgmental about other people's circumstances. However, I'm not a fan of people committing suicide.
Okay, so he's not judgmental, but of course they are judgmental and they're controlling. So they think if a kid says, "You know what, I ain't getting it," okay? I just ain't getting it, okay? I really don't want to play this, whatever, this bumper car thing, okay? It makes me a bit sick. You're just going to say, "So what?" Okay, I don't care. You're not entitled to say fuck you to your parents and say, "Bad idea having me because I'm really not liking it." You don't have a right to have those thoughts.
I agree with Archbishop Desmond Tutu that every human being has the right to make the decision to end his or her own life. And
so every human being except the ones under 40. I mean, again, they're just such fucking bullshit hypocrites.
I have a very long essay on the blog written by Martin Manley on his 60th birthday, the date he chose to commit his own suicide. It's an unbelievable.
Right. So somebody couldn't choose to do it on when their 50th birthday, or their 40th, or their 30th, or their 20th, or their 10th, because somehow you're saying they don't know how really great life is. Yeah.
Thoughtful, long message that anybody who has suicidal ideation, I would encourage them to read. And think about what you're actually doing. Think about who you're leaving behind. Think about the...
Okay, yeah, again, such a bullshit argument. Think about who you're leaving behind. Oh, I'm their pet. What the fuck? I mean, just the whole idea that we should ever have to do that we always we have to sit there. It's bad enough you're born into a shitty world and, a shitty game to play. Part of the game is I owe you something. When did I make this contract where I owe you something? I have to hang around for your entertainment? Or what? Are you don't want to step in mud puddles, so you want me around to jump on them so you can walk on me and get across the mud? I mean, what exactly is my purpose? How will I be serving you and serving your needs? Yeah. Bullshit. Like, anyone should have those kind of thoughts. So they think guilt is the way to control this. That's the real win argument. Yeah, don't convince them that, yes, life is really fun and it's going to be really great to watch the human race cannibalize itself in a few years. Yeah, that's going to be great fun. No, don't make a real argument. Make this fake, phony bullshit argument.
Pain that you're going to cause to the people in your life before you just decide, oh, I'm having a...
And just how many people are causing these other people pain. So, yeah, this is just such bullshit. I mean, stupid welfare parents having, their 5th kid, and some kid is, living in shit, and he's supposed to love the people who put him in that position, and be afraid that their little feelings will be hurt.
Bad day. That makes no sense at all.
So, bad day. So, again, how do you know it's just one bad day? Yeah. Where's your statistic for that?
Yeah. Well, like the Buddha said, life is suffering. And that doesn't mean life is completely suffering, but it's sometimes it can be very, very excruciating.
Right. And you should just put up with this. What's wrong with a bad game? I mean, let's play the bad game. Let's play suffering. Pointless, really. Because there's nothing you're going to do here that hasn't already been done. We've written all the stories that can be written. The 3 bears can only The 3 bears go out and watch TV. The 3 bears mow the lawn. I mean, what are the 3 bears going to do? Even the 3 bear orgy, I mean, it's all been done.
And Mimi Riley has worked with young people, with students, for a long time. And she...
Frightening, because she's still a child. Her little brains are still in her... She's still 13.
She has had more recent experience than we have, direct experience, with young people and what they're going through at this very challenging time. So...
Oh, whatever that mush is. All the young people are alike, of course.
Mimi, would you say a few words about yourself and maybe what you'd like to talk about here?
Well, all the people in that stupid course must be, right? I mean, they're taking some silly course. They're going to get a college degree in silly shit. So they're going to be like professor of silly shit.
And now I'm teaching things like, this is what they're working on right now. They just did the Great Reset. This civilization is finished.
Right. All right. So these are just really... I mean, these are such excessive statements in the sense that, yes, there's going to be difficult circumstances, but the fact is that if you approach them intelligently, there's nothing that serious going to really happen. It's just how you're going to allow this little transition to take place. So, yeah, human beings are going to have to, their houses they're living in that are on the beach, they're gonna have to live somewhere else. You know, that kind of stuff's gonna have to happen. A few little transitions are gonna have to take place, and you can do it rationally or you can do it irrationally. You can collapse the whole economy, or you can, you know, make sure certain parts of it are indestructible. You know, these are all things you can mitigate against them with some sort of rational consideration. And the first priority is to know, well, let's everybody get more efficient. Let's reduce, you know, what it costs to maintain our existence, so then we have the resources to apply them to the problems. All right. So what's gonna make us live better? Putting up a frickin', you know, 60-foot wall, or spending a little money to educate people in other countries that maybe you shouldn't have 15 kids, and then your kids won't have to immigrate to our country.
Hi, Rupert Reed and Samuel Alexander, and you know.
Well, whatever. So I mean, the real issue here is you know, it's probably just on two counts. If you're worried about global warming and climate change and all that crap, population is gigantic. A huge part of that problem is also agricultural. So if you change what you eat, you change the footprint, how deep it is, you know, how much of a, how stuck in the mud you're going to get, how deep into the quicksand you're going to fall. All those little things you can do, but they don't say anything about those simple solutions, the ones that just require a little reset in your brain. So, you know, too pathetic, wasted, squandered, you know. They say some of the right words, but they don't have any of the right principles. And that's, you know, there's no principles to anything anybody talks about. There's just no principles involved, no underlying foundational logic. Shit. Alright, so we'll do some of my regular videos, the ones I published. Alright, should be back. Alright, so this middle video, so I did 3 videos, one dealing with the glib mystic, again, of course, and then there was this guy McPherson's statement where he rags on Evilism and accuses, without even, you know, said he won't even say who he is that he's talking about, and he just, you know, does this ragging about somebody, I don't know who it is, right, presumably me, who's made a bunch of videos talking people into committing suicide. Is that what I do in my videos? No. It's just too stupid. I mean, it's such a lie, and you're just like, well, you know, he's a professor, and this is how he makes arguments. I mean, it's just, you can't even call it a straw. It's a shit man. It's not a straw man. I mean, it's just complete shit. But anyway, so we'll play some of it. But it's just so bad. All right. Anyway, well, I don't know exactly because it puts heavy molecules very high. All right. So yes, he's big on this masking thing. This aerosol masking is somehow a big issue in the environmental movement, and I don't think it's really a big issue. Okay, but whatever. I don't know what his suggestion is, that we should put more Freon in the environment so we can mitigate against the methane. I mean, it's just a little bit too silly. Consciousness people or something. You know, it's probably got little, whatever they are, wind something or others. Yeah, dream catchers. So yeah, so this is before I looked these people up, and you find out just how silly they are. You know, it's all this Buddhism, Timothy Leary thing, mushroom thingy, all this bullshit stuff. Okay, all this hippie bullshit. Okay. You know, I mean, there's nothing, you know, being a hippie wasn't necessarily being an idiot when I was young. You know, hippies were sometimes really smart, okay, but being a drug user, yeah, that is an idiot. I mean, you know, somebody who lives for it. You know, they can't find anything else to do. No other entertainment's possible. It's just getting stoned. And those are 2 different kinds of hippies. Okay. Anyway, So anyway, so at the beginning of he made a little video. It's just a piece of steaming crap. You know, he's reading his little script, and you can't understand what the fuck he's talking about. He's talking about his failure as a person arguing for things. So apparently he couldn't get anybody interested in the subjects he was interested in when he was a college professor. And nobody will publish his crap and blah blah blah. So he's just basically pointing out what a big failure he is in making arguments, and then he demonstrates why he's a failure at making arguments by making a really crappy, shitty argument where he just made up a bunch of fake facts. Fake fact number one being that I have ever made videos telling people to kill themselves, because I haven't. To do what? Watch porn? On a smaller TV screen? Yes, I was just making the joke. You know, he puts a George Carlin joke in here, like one of George Carlin's least funny lines ever. And it's just this idea that, yeah, people are retarded, okay? And so all we have to celebrate on Earth is how, you know, give the trophies out to the biggest retard. And that's essentially what we do now, right? I mean, look at the richest people in the world, and they're fucking retarded. You know, the people admired most have the less going on inside their brains. So, I mean, you could say it about our whole culture, not just the way we treat kids. Oh, and so I just make the point that, well, George Carlin should tell the going into space joke about what the fuck, you know, we're going to send human beings to another world, you know, light years away. What are they going to do? Yeah, again, yes, so they're just going to watch porn on a smaller TV. That's all they're going to do, in a little box in space. Nothing else is going to take place. Nothing meaningful. Indulgence. But regardless, what does suicide have to do with the subject? Yeah, so it's just kind of bizarre. I mean, it's life spelled backwards. It doesn't spell it backwards because it's saying somehow try to go backwards or try to give yourself an abortion. You know, the whole point is to prevent it. That's the whole subject, is prevention of this syndrome of being alive. And the easiest way to stop it is not to make it. That's the argument. That's the ideal solution, is to grandfather it out of existence. Just prevent new versions of the disease. Treat the ones afflicted, and then don't make any more victims. That's the philosophy. Tiny, just a cursory view of my videos will explain that's the philosophy. They won't be saying anything else. And, you know, this is just such horse shit. Life on this planet, you think your brain is especially special because it can calculate numbers and it can put work. So they're just pointing out that these are all people who haven't figured out that this isn't about being intelligent. That's not what makes a life a precious thing. What makes it precious is its ability to suffer and to be tortured, and that the animals do that just as well as we do it. Okay, their capacity to have a really bad day is just as substantial as ours, and that's the part that rationality says you should be valuing. You shouldn't be valuing whether or not they can, you know, do multiplication in their head. That's not what makes a human being valuable. Pause. Yeah, no gain, just pain. Yeah, who accepts that and says, okay, fine. No gain, just pain. Yeah, so maybe that should be the title of a book. Anyway, I was thinking the blood footprint would probably be a, you know, because I think I invented that. You know, I didn't get it from somebody else anyway. But anyway, the fear of death follows from the fear of life. So, you know, this is the little pieces of crap, you know, that he thinks are insightful pieces of poetry. And it's like, no, the fear of death is a rational fear of suffering. Okay, being afraid of being dead. Now, you know, yeah, that's not too scary. Being dead, no. getting to being dead is the part that's worrisome. How you get dead really matters.
A psychiatrist who personally has faced such a...
I mean, being afraid of dying and being afraid of death are two different subjects. Yes, couldn't say it any clearer than that. Clearly two different subjects. And both of them are, you know, just covered in emotional crap. So, you know, there was a time when I would have been afraid of, like, the thought of an autopsy. You know, I just didn't like the idea of somebody, like, poking my eyes out and doing, you know, yuck. But, I mean, rationally, I know it doesn't matter. I mean, it's, you're dead, idiot. Okay, it just can't matter. So, I mean, rationally, you know one thing, and then, you know, and I had the same reaction like Soylent Green. When I read it as a kid, I'm like, ooh, eating dead people. Ooh, gross. But then I thought about it, and I said, what the fuck's the difference, all right? I mean, if they're tasty, if they put them into a little, you know, potato chip and it's yummy, what the fuck do I care? Yeah, so what? Yeah. I mean, the fact that it wouldn't work, okay, that you wouldn't be able to engineer a system where you could actually make a profit processing dead humans into potato chips. But let's just say, you know, it's like the Matrix, right? Humans would make lousy batteries. So this has a huge plot flaw. But yeah, you know, I realized, oh yeah, I was just emotionally reacting to being, you know, a potato chip or eating a dead person. You know, it was just bullshit. I mean, it was a bullshit emotional reaction that didn't have any foundation in anything substantial except some irrational notion. I was thinking of me being alive somehow still or something. I don't know what it was exactly. But it was just emotional crap. And as soon as you think through it, then you can make it go away as emotional crap. And then it's not there anymore. In a concentration camp, exactly. Tea time? I don't know. I was talking about regular, yes, maintaining your civilization or something, or whatever. It's all. Ugh. Nietzsche again. So Nietzsche, you know, quoting Nietzsche, you know, his whole life was a mess as he lived it, and it ended horribly. And you know, this is the story of the winner. Okay, it's all idealism and bullshit. It has nothing to do with the pragmatic, practical facts of what your life is, which is messy as fuck for no good reason. No good reason to accept playing a bad game badly. Dude, wherever possible. But we're emotional organisms. I want people to feel their philosophy. I want them to care. Yeah, so I guess I was making some point about, you know, that people should be passionate about things, but they should play a good game. In the ass some more. Go ahead, walk on the streets again and get raped again.
As the living planet disintegrates around us.
Alright, so there's some mush about the living planet. So again, he knows he's not going to, this global warming thing is not going to eradicate life. It's just going to put it back to where it was 300 million years ago, which is covered in living organisms. So this is all bullshit. So he's perfectly comfortable with the idea of a planet teeming with living organisms consuming each other in grotesquely inefficient manner. You know, he just loves Jurassic Park. It's just, oh yeah, that's just so cool. You know, lay 1,000 eggs and have most of them destroyed in the first 10 days of life or something, in some horrible, brutal, awful manner. What the fuck is that? Okay, so anyway, I don't know what that was. Alright, so anyway, yeah, I didn't hit the best pieces, but whatever, you get what you get. So the mystic video, the glib. So this is just this argument. So the mystic is, again, just the fact that I'm calling him the mystic, that he labeled himself this stupid word, is irritating. And it has there's a reality to it in the sense that this is the foundation of his philosophy. And so, in spite of the fact that he has all of this information, he's real well informed, read extensively, not ignorant at all, and yet he's too stupid to figure out that feelings, although they're just electrons and protons moving, are in fact happening to conscious things, and it does happen as an event in the universe, and he just thinks the event, he has decided that the event doesn't mean anything, that the value we feel that it has, that we can feel the value difference. I can feel the value difference between a good and a bad feeling. It's visceral. It's right there. I can't miss it. He's saying I'm being fooled, that suffering isn't really bad. And it's just so stupid. And you say, how can a smart person think something this stupid? It's just so fucking stupid. Obvious differences, substantial differences, fundamental differences. And I just can't imagine somebody trying to convince me that it really doesn't matter whether I'm tortured or not tortured. I mean, yeah, but how could another conscious being say to another conscious being, hey, it's just your reaction. There is nothing to act against. There's no difference. Don't pretend there's a difference between torture and pleasure, because there isn't. Because it's just electricity. So because it's just electricity, therefore it can't be making something anything real. And so therefore the thing it's making can't be real, therefore there can't be anything called value. It just doesn't matter in any kind of real way. And it's just like, how can you make that argument to me? I'm really feeling it, I'm really experiencing it, and I'm telling you, there's no way I'm voting for torture. No. Yeah. You know, all the little, statistics tell you, the cat has 20 kittens. Obviously, the 20 kittens aren't surviving. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the reality of evolution and the process, and again, it's just one people just aren't acknowledging. They're just evading the real subject, which is there's nothing neutral about that process. It's Mengele-less, cruel, and evil. If I suggested making a machine that did this, you would say the machine is evil. Alright. Yeah, well. It's a website video. Exploiting this creepoids or something. Yeah, well, that's just crap. So, what is there to argue here? So, yeah, that's the Alright, so I just don't know exactly what I was saying there. So we'll jump ahead and see if we do better. Feelings matter. That seems to me just plain crazy, because every single moment of my... Alright, so there's nothing... I say it over and over again. I'm just saying, how can somebody tell me my conscious judgment, the thing that happens when I have these two feelings, and their obvious difference between them, that I'm supposed to say it's just fake? There's nothing real in those feelings. There's no real component. They didn't really happen. They're not really good and bad. When it's obviously good and bad. Yeah. And it makes a difference. Okay? Smartphone. Okay. Smartphone just being smart, and smartphone feeling, two different things. So obviously feelings are everything. There's nothing else in the universe that means anything but the feelings being manifested by the things that might be in the universe that are feeling. The rest of it is meaningless, except in how it affects things that feel. The only way anything has any value is in terms of how it affects the overall welfare of whatever is feeling in the universe. If you can't hurt a feeling thing, then the action can't be bad. The hedge trimmer even, and this biological organism. So he's basically just saying that yes, we're just hedge trimmers. We just have functions, the functions blah blah blah, who cares? The end. We're just hedge trimmers. Alright. I've only made the simple argument I'm not a fucking hedge. Yes, I'm not a hedge trimmer. I'm not a paramecium. I'm not a smartphone. I'm not a calculator. I'm not similar things that are doing similar things to me. I'm different because yes, I am alive and I am conscious. Okay, I have this function where my brain creates a state where I feel, okay, and I can feel shitty. Yeah. And that's happening in this universe, and it's a real thing, and it's the real thing we have to account for. The bits of clay can't be a statue. The collection of the clay. Right. So it's not about electrons and protons. It's not about atoms. It's not about compounds. It's not about any of that crap. It's about an arrangement that, yes, is just an arrangement of pieces, but the fact is that that arrangement of neurons and electricity creates the illusion, it creates the brain space that you could draw it as if it was making a person sitting in a chair watching a screen. And that's what it does. It creates that circumstance. It creates the theater and the person in the chair. And the feelings are what makes it catch 22. I mean, that's the thing that gives it a real substance. Alright, so the other video I did was one of my economic videos. So I was just trying to go through this, simple ways of just diagramming what the banking system is really doing and how it's all really just a barter system still. And you just have a couple of little confusing things in there with a little paper money and this and that, but it's no big deal. It's just the same game, and that the real game being played is that certain people get to collateralize their ownership and other people don't. So the banksters and the rich can take their assets, their value, they can mortgage it, that is, they give title to somebody else, they keep it, but they give the title to somebody else, the ownership deed, and then they get a bunch of cash that they can go out and buy more batteries with, you get it? And they get to keep that battery, and they just mortgage that one and keep another one, and then mortgage that one and keep another one, and they can multiply what they can, what they can live in by just remortgaging the value, recapitalizing it, recollateralizing it into equity, So you could live in a mansion, you just have to be willing to get in insane amounts of debt. Yeah, so you just have to be willing to, give away everything you own, give away your ownership, and rent from the bank, so to speak, or however you want to put it. With the vulnerability that it could all go wrong and you could owe $1 billion that you don't have, which all the rich do. Okay. So anyway, so yes, it's a lot of that. Well, something like that, something simpler. I'm going to tell. So I just start with an island, and you just section it off into value, and the four people have their hunks of value, and now you're just going to talk about how are they going to exchange what they own with each other, and that cash becomes a very easy and convenient mechanism, and it's just another commodity like food or cars or some other commodity. It's just the same thing, and as long as it's in limited supply, it will maintain its value, blah blah blah. It says that now they don't have property, they don't really own anything, and they're putting out the money. Right. So I'm just talking about how the bank would work. The bank just takes in value and gives you a different kind of value out. It gives you this paper that you can use, okay, because you brought in some kind of value, like the deed to your house. Money. And you're really saying is what you ideally want is that money to go to people who are going to do something productive with it. All right, so I sort of point out that in a vague, or I should make this argument more and more often, that a huge part of our economy is all waste work, and that there's only this tiny percentage of the workers who are actually doing real valuable work, and they're really paying for everybody else's waste. You know, and that's the truth of it. It's, you know, the only stuff that matters, the guys paving the road and, you know, putting up the internet and, you know, making the software and building the computers. Those are the only jobs that have any value. All of the paperwork and bullshit is all waste. The banks were all insolvent because nobody wanted to pay. I mean, right, so with the mortgage crisis, we're just setting up for the same event to happen again, the 2011 crisis. Though the government basically took on $15 billion worth of debt to keep the rich from going poor, to prop up the stock market, to prevent the crash. So they hid the debt in FDIC insurance, and they hid the debt in the Federal Reserve in terms of faked borrowed money. But they can't keep doing that, and that has to be resolved eventually. And if you don't resolve it, the crisis comes, the FDIC insurance won't happen, there is no such thing, and then you're really in trouble. Own stuff that was worthless. So that was another 8 trillion or so, 7 or 8. Alright, so I was just pointing out where they've hidden the debt. The bailout money. Where they've hidden the burden of the bailout. And it's hidden, but it's real burden. Within a few multiples of its original value. Unlike the yen, you know, which... Okay, so yeah, our currency has devalued, but it's just a tiny amount. Okay, they've printed a little bit too much currency over the last 30 years, but it isn't that dramatic. And you know, it's not like a huge devaluation that would take place when the government is nowhere even close. You know, where its liabilities, where it's got to pay out, say, $5 trillion a year, you know, in owed. You know, where people want their cash. You know, they bring their IOU, and the government has to produce the cash. And they got 5 trillion going out and only 2 trillion or 1 trillion coming in. And obviously, where they're going to get that cash from, is they don't have anything. They don't have any way of generating the cash except to print it. And if they print it, then you're really going to have inflation. You can always not do that. Okay, and that's what would happen in the crisis. In the crisis, all the people who own crap are going to just walk away with their cash, and they're not going to buy their crap out of the bank. And right, so when the crash happens, the banks won't be a little bankrupt. There'll be trillions of dollars in bankruptcy. So there's going to be a ton of people who aren't going to get what they're owed, because it won't exist. You know. Anyway, alright, so good enough. I think the videos are better than this video, frankly, but you know, so they really weren't bad videos. So yeah, 3 hours worth of stuff to listen to, something like that anyway. So yeah, that's enough, and such. Just, you know, it's hard enough, you know, look, I'm arguing a very difficult position to argue, okay, that yes, life sucks, We have to do the best we can with this shitty game we got to play, where it's really dangerous, that you never know whether you're doing somebody a favor or whether you're hurting them. You know, it's just dangerous. You know, you could bake somebody a cake and you do it badly and you give them food poisoning and they die. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of ways to hurt people without intending to hurt people. I mean, it's a horrible game we're playing. That it makes sense to try to find something else to do than have babies, because having babies just puts them at huge risk of all kinds of failures. It's still an evolutionary system in that most people will not be the big winners. Most of them are going to be the losers. It's like encouraging your kid to be an Olympic athlete. I mean, what are you setting him up for? I mean, you know, 1 in a million, right? A 1 in a million chance of winning. And second place isn't too good, third place isn't too good, and clearly most of them will fall somewhere even short of that. So you're setting your kid up for some hard work, some pain, some wasted time, essentially. I mean, the winners are wasting their time. The losers are really wasting their time, because they're not in a competition to cure cancer. They're in a competition to do something that's pointless in doing. So I'm just understand that's the game. And to say, yeah, we shouldn't be playing that. If we had any brains at all, we wouldn't be having babies to do this shit. Yeah. Come on. No pain, big gain. Okay? That's the way. We win by not creating losing. So let's not create it. Yeah, that's pretty simple. Don't make a victim, and then you got nothing to account for. Well, anyway. I'm not very eloquent today. Yeah, I'm not satisfied with too many of my sentences. But anyway, that's what this, you know, it's a video. Forget it, I'm not doing it twice. Because I probably aren't going to be any better at it if I did it over. Because I just feel more tired now. yeah, so forget it. I'm not doing it over. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You've already endured it, so thank you. And it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was, you know, come on. As bad things are on the internet, it wasn't that bad. But anyway, so till the next time, just get the hell out of here. And such. So, yeah, do this thing. Alright, this has been a donotgod.com video presentation. And such. And so forth and whatnot. Yeah.